Alrighty. Well, hello there. My name is Mike. I'm with Data Nexus. I'll be hosting this week's episode of the Graph Builders Office Hours. So thank you for tuning in. This is a platform for developers to come and showcase projects that they have created, whether it's substreams, subgraphs created, and how they're being implemented on their front ends or dApps or different development best practices. For those watching, please keep in mind that this is a recorded event and it'll be distributed on various social platforms if you have any privacy concerns. And with that, I'd like to welcome FA and NASCO with Friend Fries, who are the recent winners at the EthGlobal Brussels Hackathon, so that they can showcase what they built and how they integrated the use of the graph. So thanks for coming, guys, and joining us and showing off your stuff. Excited to see what you guys created. I wasn't at ETH Brussels myself, so thanks for making the journey.
Thanks so much for having us. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, yeah. And thank you for the welcome. So hello, everyone. I'm Nasco, and together with my friend Efe, we are going to talk about the project that we built 2 weeks ago at ETH Brussels, which is called Friend Fries. Our project is basically a web app that allows people to create bounties with friends and win some French fries. In this presentation, we are going to start with introducing the project and a quick demo. Then we're going to focus more on how we use the graph, for which we won a prize in the hackathon, and some issues that we had with it. And we're going to conclude with some typical struggles that we encounter and what we can advise you to do for them or what we do for them. But first, a little bit context. We had 36 hours to build the project at ETH Brussels. In this photo, on the slides, you can see me and Efe hacking and also the graph booth, which is kind of a coincidence. We didn't take this photo. We found it online, but we thought that it was a nice photo, so we decided to share it. And also, by the way, this is a very small part of the venue that we had for the hackathon. Yeah, but somehow we ended up both in the same photo. So for this hackathon, a little bit context, they gave us these bracelets, which contain an NFC chip inside of them, which is super cool because we decided to somehow use this chip because we haven't, or at least I haven't seen that before. And we thought it might be a cool idea to see what we can build with that. So this NFC chip can be used to sign messages and even sign transactions. So it has a wallet inside of it. And we use it as a sort of identity, like source of identity on chain. The project that we built is a web app that allows you to create and fulfill bounties using this bracelet, and everything is stored on chain. So since we're relying on the blockchain as a database, we needed some sort of way of quickly accessing the information for our app. So that's why we use the graph. But more on that a bit later. Since these NFC chips have a unique identifier, you can also use them to filter for people that are part of this hackathon, which is something super cool. But unfortunately, we couldn't find a way to get these identifiers, even though the organizers promised us that they have deployed them in a smart contract, which would have been super cool. Like if we can only use people that are there to create and complete bounties. And for that, we would have also used the graph. But sort of as a theme of this workshop, when you have so little time, you need to really move quickly and make some compromises. And this is something that we are going to also expand on a bit later. But first, let's go over a quick demo of what we built. We created a video since it's pretty difficult to share a mobile screen. And also, we have some physical interactions, but you can see in the video now that we first navigate to a domain that we got. Then we need to log in, which creates an embedded wallet for you. But yeah, more on the domain. In the end, we were at 5 a.m. We had a working product, and we were thinking okay, what should we do next? And we decided, let's get a domain. But yeah, so in this video, now you can see that it prompts us to connect our to scan our bracelet, which uses the web NFC in the phone to basically scan the bracelet. And after it's completed, you can see a list of all the bounties that have been created before. And for this, of course, we use the graph to get this information from the database. And in this demo, we're going to create a new bounty, which will be to get a T-shirt from the graph. Since we did it in the hackathon, we need to create a transaction because we need to store it on the blockchain. We selected how much money we want to pay the completer of this bounty. And after the transaction goes through, you can see that this will be displayed then in the homepage. Again, super quickly, super reliably, thanks to the graph and our implementation of the subgraph.
Oh, sorry. So here I will be bringing Nasco a graph T-shirt from the booth, an actual graph T-shirt, and Nasco will be scanning my NFC chip. And immediately I will be, after he triggers the transaction, I will immediately be getting the bounty that I deserve. So yeah, you will witness that. Here you can see the bounty, and since Nasco has created this bounty, you can see the accept submission button. I bring him the graph T-shirt, and he's able to just scan my NFC chip, and I received the bounty. Yeah, in the video, we won't show the transaction going through, but we have a leaderboard that you will see now. This leaderboard is obviously queried from the graph. We aggregate the total amount of bounties received by a person in the leaderboard, and then we're able to obviously query it with the graph. As we said, it's a web app, but to see the pages more clearly, you can go to our friend fries.xyz/bounties. I think you will need to sign up, and you will need to scan your NFC bracelet, which is not really possible. So I think we'll just be seeing the bounties here. But all of these bounties are from the graph. Obviously, like, these bounties have been created, and since they have not been completed yet, I can see them, and potentially I could complete them. Just like that, we also have a profile. I think my profile page is loading. So I'm able to see the bounties that I also created, obviously through querying with the graph. And we have this leaderboard as well, which is also queried from the graph. So let me just present again. Yes. I was going to go through a lot of implementation details and how we optimize our subgraph, but I think Marcus, I just watched this recently, like yesterday. Marcus did a great job explaining what exactly to do to improve your querying speed and also indexing speed. So to go quickly through them, we have a concept of pruning. I usually don't touch this, I leave it at auto, but if you have an amount of blocks that you really care about and the rest you don't, you can use pruning. It would optimize the indexing speed quite heavily, I think. We have the drive froms, we have the immutables, we have the using bytes as ID, using a type of bytes as ID. And obviously, we also used the graph client in our front end. And finally, we deployed to the decentralized network, which I think also makes a difference in Hackathon. So to go quickly through our repo and the schema that we have, what's a little bit different than the graph init that you would get maybe is here. So usually graph init only creates entities from your events directly. And I don't really think that's a great way to do it because the entities that you create might not map directly, the events that you have might not directly relate to the entities that you might have. So I really separate the entities and the mappings. These are the entities that we have defined. We have a bounty with obviously a lot of fields. And we also have a participant, the person who collects the bounties. So to optimize our subgraph further, we also created an entity called bounty participant, which is immutable, to basically have a many-to-many mapping between the bounties and the participants. So for bounty 3, user 5 collects it, or user 0x blah blah collects it, and this entity is created in exchange. So in our entity folder, this is an example entity, which is a bounty. I use this build bounty whenever there is a new bounty created event, and I use get bounty whenever a bounty needs to be fetched to be updated later on, since bounty object is not immutable. It's easier to see it here, I believe. The handle bounty created is created upon receiving the event bounty created. And whenever we need to update the bounty to get the number of participants and to sum up the total rewarded, we need to fetch this bounty entity using the get bounty function. One thing that I think we helped us win a prize from the graph, thankfully, is the fact that we use their decentralized network. This is, I think, quite important. They built an entire decentralized network. We should use it. And another thing that they have really mentioned that when I went to their booth and asked what else can we improve about our subgraph or about our project, and they mentioned that, oh well, we have a graph client. If you're using a poll client, just throw it away and use our graph client. And at first, I had some issues installing it, but otherwise it was quite easy to use. Here you can see the queries that I've defined. This query fetches the bounties that you have created, owned by an address, which in that case, in the profile, it was my address. And here you can see the execute function and the document that uses that the execute function uses. This profile details document is essentially, or profile bounties document is essentially kind of like graph code gen, but for graph client and for the front end. So what issues do we face when we were using the graph? I should give you some context. I've been building subgraphs for the last 2 years, I would say. I wouldn't say I'm building subgraphs every single day, but it was the first time that we built a subgraph. And because I'm quite used to the stack, I didn't really face a lot of issues. What was new to me was using the graph client for sure. And graph client had an issue when I was installing it with my tsconfig. I think this is kind of known by the team, at least when I went to their booth and asked, hey guys, like I'm having this issue, what should I do? We dabbled around a bit, and finally through Googling and asking around, we were able to find the fact that we needed to change the module resolver, I think, to a bundler, or change it from a bundler. I don't exactly remember now. What to do to improve the graph a little bit further, maybe more clear error messages. I'm having a bit of trouble like decoding error messages when I have a failing query in the graph. And I thought that adding a paymaster potentially to deploy to Arbitrum 1 could be quite beneficial, because we didn't have any Arbitrum at the time, like in the hackathon. And we basically spent like 30 minutes trying to wire some Arbitrum ETH to my account so that we could publish the decentralized network. Yes, I think Nasco here will be talking about the common struggles of the hackathons. We didn't only have issues with the graph, which were quite minor in my opinion, but we have a lot of issues with hackathons usually because we do them quite often. Nasco?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we thought it might be a good idea to share some tips with you, with things that we have struggled before or now in this hackathon, and how like we can help you if you decide you want to go to a hackathon and try to win some prizes. We definitely recommend it. But yeah, let's go over some typical hackathon struggles and what you can do to get over them. Firstly, brainstorming ideas. If you're like us, you have so many ideas that it's sometimes can be very difficult to choose where to start, what you want to focus your next 36 hours on building. So what we like to do is we like to add some constraints to help us be more creative and limit some of the ideas by finding cool solutions using the hackathon sponsors, like the graph. This is also super cool because not only you find new technologies that you can start using later after the hackathon in your own projects, but you also meet a team of super passionate builders. And as an engineer myself, I really appreciate that, and I don't often talk with other people outside of my team on these topics, which is super cool. Another thing that you can try during your brainstorm session is to ask users like what they want to see, what they want to use. This is also a great place to meet new people, since it's a hackathon, everybody's there to build something. Everybody has some great ideas, but who would have better ideas than the people that have actually created these amazing products? So the sponsors themselves. So what we're also like to do is, to focus on these technologies and try to combine them in cool ways, because it speeds up the process. It also helps you learn about some cool new projects that you might have not seen otherwise or used in the past. And also, as a cool bonus, you might win something in the end, like we did. So next, some challenges with making these SDKs or these new technologies work, since it's very likely that you have used them very little in the past, or not at all. So often there are some just newly announced technologies that you can't wait to try and to get your hands on, and so on. Like, as an example, we could not get the NFC chips in these bracelets to sign the transaction. We really wanted to like make this the wallet that you create and use for bounties, but we couldn't figure out how to make a transaction. So in the end, we just used the signature to prove your identity, and we had to like link it to a different wallet that you owned. But there are many such things that could go wrong, and since we have very little time, we shouldn't really spend too much time trying to make one thing work. So yeah, but if you have some problems, you can also definitely reach out to the people that build these products, because they're there to help you, to talk to you, to go through what they have built and help you with any questions. And this also helps them, because they also, since if you're talking about new technologies here, they might be not used much in the past. So this feedback also helps these builders to update their documentation. And we all know that it's very difficult sometimes to put yourself in your users' shoes, and when they see your documents for the first time. And finally, focusing on building something that works. In general, it is difficult to build something that works during the demo. And when you only have 36 hours and you have barely slept, chances that something will break increase exponentially. So what can you do? In general, for a demo, you can try to fake it till you make it. Be ready to mock some parts that don't work or make compromises quickly. For this project, we didn't have to fake anything. Somehow we made it all work, which is always a good thing. But
let's make
sorry, Efe?
Sorry, I said let's make a confession. We were also surprised that it was working properly.
Absolutely.
Looking at each other, and we were like, "How does this work?" Like, fully fine. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and that's why we had some time to even buy a domain for it, because the name was so good that we had to get a domain. But if you can't get something to work, you also need to think about pivoting as soon as possible, because at the end of the day, you need a working solution that might be less clean, but you only need to get your idea across. So it also helps to focus on building something small and optimize it. But yeah, these are some of the common struggles that we face often in the hackathons. But man, I wish there was a survival guide that we could use.
You're in luck, my friend. We have a survival guide. Okay, guys. So I will be spilling the secrets of how to win bounties. Obviously, it's a joke, but this kind of like the ideas that we found by doing a couple of different hackathons, and this is what we saw that works, and it really helps people at least like win some bounties or get some recognition with the project that they do. So it's obviously a great idea to have a concrete idea beforehand that you start the hackathon. Obviously determine your tech stack, and be sure like at least have a really good idea of like which sponsors that you're going for. This is quite needed because of the fact that if you don't know which sponsors you're going to go for, obviously the sponsors want you to try their stack, and if you haven't already, and if you don't know already, you will need to spend some time to learn, and that could exponentially increase the amount of time that you would need to spend on your project. which would in turn probably like decrease the likelihood that you'll actually finish. One thing that's quite important, in my opinion, is determining the design and the colors and having a good idea of like how it's going to look like. This is important because although what really matters is that if your idea works or not, or if your project works or not, but it's also the case that the sponsors or at least the judges cannot spend a lot of time with your project dabbling with it. And so one of the maybe intrinsic, maybe extrinsic criteria to judge your project is how aesthetic it looks. I wouldn't say that French fries really looks extremely nice, but I think looking nice also adds up a lot of value to how your project looks like. So your goal before you start should be that aiming to build something small that works. It also depends on your team size. If you have a 5-person team, it will be different than a 2-person team. But like your core thing should be to build a very, very small MVP and make it work. And the second thing is kind of like focusing on the sponsors and really talking to them, like what they want, what do they want to see, what do they want to see being used. And after you talk to them, like really apply their advice. Like this is what I kind of struggled with. I take advice but don't apply it, and you take the advice for a reason, right? And so the point of talking to the sponsors is kind of like talking to your users. They will see your project, they will judge it, and follow whatever instructions they give you. Being cyberpunk is cool, but also sometimes stay in the lane too. And yeah, I mentioned this already. Make it if you can make it pretty. Mid hackathon. This is one thing that's super important. Ask a lot of questions when you're stuck. Sometimes we developers have the persistence of like really going into a problem and trying to fix it ourselves. But I mean, after 15 minutes, if the problem still persists and you're sure that's not your code, it's the integration with the SDK, it's time to go, buddy. It's time to go and ask, what am I doing wrong, or what's wrong with this? One good idea is to tell the sponsors what you're building beforehand or like during the hackathon. For 2 reasons. One, they start recognizing you. They're like, oh, like you again in my booth asking me stupid questions, or they give you different ideas about what you can do with their stack for your project, right? So they now kind of have an understanding of like what you're building and what you're trying to achieve, and they know the stack better than you are because they work there, and they can give you some quite good ideas. Yes, attention to design and polishing. I said this again, and obviously to build. One thing that we discovered, at least like for myself, I'm quite sleep dependent. I like sleeping, and in the EthGlobal hackathon, it's usually 36 hours, which means it's 2 nights. So definitely sleep on the first night. Don't drink a lot of coffee on the first night, and sleep because you will need that energy on the next day when you don't sleep. So getting 6 or 7 hours of sleep for the first night is a huge hack. If anyone like does a hackathon at EthGlobal, this is the one to go for. Even for judges, I think. For the judges too, I think people will have the most questions. For the sponsors too, people have the most questions towards the end of the hackathon. So you guys also need to perform a bit towards the end, and definitely this is kind of a important tip in my opinion. So finally, deploying to production, I think, is quite important. This is what I think sponsors care about, and also maybe sponsors don't care that much, but judges definitely do for the finalists. And we tried to do this because we had some extra time in our hands. We deployed to French fries. Another thing at the end of the hackathon is like you're very tired. It's like 34th hour. You have 2 more hours till submission. Your project barely works, and everything's on fire. Doing a really nice presentation is super important, maybe as important as building the project, because you built this, but nobody knows what it is, and if you don't present it well, then they won't really understand it or like perceive it as something done well. So the presentation part is super important. One thing we tried to do, but didn't have that much time to do, was creating a cool use case. An example from the previous EthGlobal Hackathon in Brussels was a betting market. So basically, a platform to bet on which projects people think are going to become finalists. So you could use this platform to bet on, I don't know, French fries being a finalist, and if you actually become a finalist, we alongside of other people win some money. And they, I think, went around and asked people to use their platform, and at the end they actually distributed like $100 prize, which I thought was super cool. Like you built this great thing, and you also demoed it by using other people. We didn't have that much time to get the bounties working, but it would be super cool. And yeah, of course, practice the presentation. So yeah, I think this is our final slide. We would like to thank you for listening, and I hope this added some value to you. We thought that we could introduce French fries, and we also were going to talk about the this part, but like a professional DevRel have already made a 24-minute video about it, and will probably explain it better than we will. And so we decided to do some hackathon related talk. I hope this added some value to your life, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Nicely done, guys. Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what's your future vision for French fries? Like what's the next thing for you guys? Like how are you gonna was this like a create it and forget it kind of a scenario, or is this something you guys are, moving forward? You got a whole domain for it, so you can't just walk away.
To our defense, the domain was $2.99. So
Hey, that's still $2.99.
yeah. So
what's your vision?
Yeah, we thought about some improvements on the idea. We didn't necessarily plan them, but we thought that maybe adding different kind of verifications for the bounties could be interesting. So right now, the way that we verify the bounties is that you somehow complete what's said in the description, and you go to the person. You have to find the person who have opened this bounty, and they have to scan your wristband to verify that you actually completed this. But if there was a trustless way of verifying these bounties, that would be way cooler in our opinion. And I think Nasco has a good idea about it.
Yeah. We thought of we thought some ideas how we can fix that. And also we really thought it would be super cool if we can actually get to use it in the next hackathons, because these bracelets are going to stay a part of all EthGlobal hackathons. So we even for this hackathon we wanted to use it to create bounties, to complete bounties, to even the idea for the name French fries came from us giving French fries to the number one person that on the leaderboard. But we didn't unfortunately get to that because we didn't have time to go around and ask people to create and complete these bounties, because in the end we were super tired after we got it working, and everybody was too focused on getting their solution working. So, but definitely for next time, we think it would be super cool to try to get more people to use it, and to just create and complete bounties.
Awesome. It looks like Mac has a suggestion. If feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks, man. Have you guys maybe thought about using an attestation service? I know that on base, the EAS is there, and I remember when it was the attestation and curation was basically bad things to talk about because of reputation. You never want to. I remember when reputation was the evil word in Web3, but I think there's some optionality there where you could create an attestation between the person who posted the bounty, and that way you don't really need to interact with them in person. Say now they posted the bounty, you did the work, and then they left the hackathon for some reason. They can't close it.
Yeah, I think it's for yes, I think it's for sure a possibility. I think we discussed using EAS together with NASPO during the hackathon, but since they weren't sponsors, we were like, okay, maybe we can do this later.
I mean, it's a open source kind of attestation services are open source. I don't think you need to use EAS. I think you could just maybe just import one of the attestation contracts. But yeah, I think you could definitely do something like a TCR, token curated registry. So you can essentially make a bounty, have the person who created the bounty have voting shares, and then they can vote yes or no whether it's completed.
Yeah,
is the bounty locked on chain inside the bounty? I was okay. Awesome.
Yes, it is stored in a smart contract.
And are there any sort of fallbacks? So like, say now you did the work and someone is like, no, I'm not going to pay you. Do you have you thought about any sort of kind of edge cases where, you know, someone wants to cancel or wants to, I guess you probably have incorporated updates and changes so you can kind of increase it. Also boosting. So if someone's like, oh, that's a freaking cool bounty, I want to actually back it as well, you know?
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be actually super cool. I don't think we thought about it before, but the first part of your question, we thought about it, but for the hackathon, we thought like, okay, like there's a million ways that this will not work, like this could break, but maybe if we can find one way that it works and display it, that would be cool. But I totally agree with you. Yeah, for a production level, and a project like this won't work, right? Like for now, what the possibility is that I, as a bounty hunter, do a bounty, go to the bounty owner or the bounty opener, and I give them whatever they want. For example, graph T-shirts, and the bounty owner might not pay me at all. And there's no reputation or there's no punishment for that yet. And the bounty owner can cancel their own bounty and receive the funds back. So, I mean, for this case, like this is absolutely would break the whole integrity of the project. And that would definitely need to be fixed if we want to make something actually out of this.
Yeah, because it's fun. Like I would do it.
I think it's a pretty simple solution because just by not allowing them to cancel the bounty, and then since they cannot pay themselves, and the big thing is that we rely on these bracelets, and only people from the hackathon have these bracelets. So you cannot like have two of these and then decide to pay yourself, right? So you need to find somebody to then send them the money. But then like if they know how it works, like it's chances are they wouldn't accept to just scam somebody, because like we hope that everybody that attends these hackathons is an honest person.
There's a chance for collusion and those sorts of things. No, I have these questions because I've been building a on-chain bounty system for a while now. So, but very, very different from what you guys have been doing. But yeah, these are the sort of things that have cropped up, and you could basically do like state management. So if a bounty has been started, it's kind of locked in, and maybe you could assign kind of, you know, trusted overseers that can have these admin roles and be like, oh, this guy screwed me over. But there's a lot of ways to kind of do this. It's an awesome project, guys. I would definitely like lead into the Craigslist of hackathons, because one thing, like when you're at a hackathon, you're like, damn, I need someone that's good at Tailwind or CSS. I'll pay someone $100 if you come and, you know, fix my CSS, man. I definitely think that would be a real game changer, and you could basically run it at every hackathon. Yeah,
absolutely. We had so many different cool ideas throughout the hackathon. Like for example, by the end, because there were these huge lines when you go to present your idea, and we thought like, hey, why can't we create a bounty for somebody to wait in line instead of us? Or yeah, such
for sure.
Yeah, there are so many ideas, and allowing people to find them all is also super exciting, and people always come up with these cool different ideas. So definitely we hope to use it in the future.
That's awesome. All right. Well, any other questions from the audience? Anything anyone else wants to say? Just checking the chat.
Thank you, Mac. Those are great ideas. Like, thank you for discussion.
Yeah, I told you he's good. He'll grill you. So, all right. Well, on that, I want to thank everyone for joining, listening. Thank you guys for the presentation and going over the Hackathon survival guide. That was great. Is there any last words you want to say to everyone?
Sorry, 1 second. I've been building on the graph for a long time, and I really like the company, and it's also fun to build on you guys. So I think it's a very professional team. Plus, I would really appreciate the accountability of the graph team at EthGlobal Brussels, because whenever we needed help, we could just go and ask. It was amazing. 4 a.m. I literally went to their booth and asked them questions, and it was absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for that. Without that help, I don't think it would be possible.
Thanks, guys. That's really nice of you to say. Yeah, as Max said, you guys should apply for the Builders DAO. We'll send you a link afterwards because you guys did great work. And with that, thank you, and we're gonna end it off here for today.